now. This is like a weird feeling. I don't know how to handle myself.
I think there's times where sometimes you have to stop what you're doing and go get a haircut.
That hopefully will be today, but not right this second.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. Of course, I'm Glenn Hausman. That's the incredible Anthony Melchiori, and this is my hair, something Anthony is jealous of apparently today. How are you, my friend?
I am jealous of your hair like I'm not. You couldn't give me hair if literally, like, listen, somebody once said to me, I wouldn't have a career if I had hair, right?
Seriously, I mean, it really has become part of your trademark kind of a thing. And
my glasses, my suits, and my hair, apparently, if I walk around and like, if you see me walk around my neighborhood, I walk around like I'm I'm homeless. And I have dirty shorts on, dirty t-shirt. I'm not wearing my glasses. When I walk in with my suit, like if I'm coming from a meeting in the city and I go into my grocery store in my area and I have my suit on, they're like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Like you think I'm a slob."
Yeah, I actually went to my bank yesterday in sweatshirts, in sweatpants, sweatshirt, and Crocs. So that was a really, nice thing.
I wear shorts until like December, and I wear sometimes the same T-shirt for 3 days. So I hate to tell you that, but my trademark is my suits, my bald head, and my glasses. So
it sure is.
So 802 shows. We're going to talk about every show, 803, 804, until we have 5,000.
Yeah, I think we should. And at least this is a good way for us to actually remember what episode number it is. Now, we were talking about being chilly and you wearing shorts, but I went to the University of Maryland down in College Park, just outside DC. And one of the things I liked, it was a little bit warmer, and I could wear those shorts up until like the Thanksgiving break. Someone who lives down there, we don't know whether or not he wears shorts. We're talking about Thomas Penny, president of Donohoe Hospitality Services out of the DC area. How are you, my friend?
Outstanding. Good to see you guys.
So everyone's dying to know, what's your policy on shorts? How late into the year do you wear them?
So I wear shorts probably through Labor Day, and then I transition to sweatpants. So I'm in sweatpants season.
Yeah, we're in my neighborhood. It's sweatshirt and shorts until December because we live on the beach. So we don't want to think that the beach is not, it's kind of closed. So literally, I'll wear actually shorts and a sweatshirt probably until March, and then change the shorts and the t-shirt. But let me ask you a question: why do you have not why? The question is, how do you keep a positive attitude? Every time I talk to you, you always have you're always upbeat. Now, I'm not talking professionally, just personally. What do you do to keep yourself, in a really good frame of mind?
So I just reflect on my ancestors, my great grandfather, who was the first in our business our family rather, to start in the hotel business. In 1957 at the Twin Bridges Marriott, he worked at the construction site and then went on to take a job inside the hotel. And I just think about how fortunate I am to lead our hotel company. And again, based on the experiences of my great grandfather, for me to be in this role, I'm incredibly grateful to have the role. And so, that's what keeps me just optimistic and excited about coming to work every day.
So how do you keep people to have this mindset, especially what's going on in the Middle East and everything in Ukraine and just in the world in general, where information is so quick, it's so overwhelming that everybody is on high alert and stressed out. I just got a text from my daughter who's concerned about something about what's going on in the Middle East. And like, how do you keep that gratefulness going? And how is the industry that we're in, how does that apply to, the world at large? Because we bring people in from all over the world into our hotels. So how does, I don't know if that question is kind of convoluted, but how do you keep it all together is what I'm asking. And how's the industry keep it all together in certain times?
So our business is a great business. Just one story comes to mind. When I first started with Donohoe 27 years ago, I was leading a restaurant team. The most senior server was from Bolivia. The next most senior server was from Ethiopia. The third was from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And they were having some trouble kind of getting along. They come from
Right.
different parts of the world. However, the woman from Scranton, PA, ended up catching lung cancer. And the other two associates began to contribute every week a portion of their gratuity to kind of help her stay afloat while she was being treated for lung cancer. Towards the end of that woman's life, I can remember going to visit her, and she cried because she was so overwhelmed with gratitude at the sacrifices her colleagues had made during her time of being treated. And just to think about how, we come together from all over the world, but by working together every day, we become one family. And so, notwithstanding the chaos that's happening in the world, the amazing people that we have in our hotels that become one family gives me a great deal of comfort and optimism that we'll get through what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, and that is true. We've seen that time and time and time again. My favorite song is "We Didn't Start the Fire" from Billy Joel, and I think he needs to update that song because we think that the times we're living in right now are the worst of times, and it's stressful. But every time in history has been stressful from the beginning of man, and we just got to keep it in perspective. In the hotel industry, you have no time for anything outside of taking care of that person who's coming into your home, because the hospitality business is your home. And, I've worked with people from all walks of life, and the common denominator is the hotel business. And it keeps people understanding that we're all in this together. So anyway, I was just interested in your
I
insight.
also think that, I talk about our industry being a mobility escalator. And I think that it's one of the widest, most accessible mobility escalators in our country.
Mm-hmm.
And I just enjoy seeing people come into our business. And we've talked about this before when I've been on the show. Folks get promoted, be able to take care of their families, send their kids to college. There's just a whole lot good about our business. And every day when I have a chance to go through our hotels and talk to our people, I'm just overwhelmed with just hearing their human stories and the things that they do for us every day.
And I do want to say that one of the most incredible things we could do in hospitality or just in general is get out there and travel. The more places we go, the more people we meet, the more we realize the differences that we think we have are not differences at all. It's just different flavors of us all being the same human beings who should love and care for each other. And my wife is taking a Hebrew class. She's trying to get more in touch with that side of her. And she lived in Israel in high school and stuff. And she was really upset about taking a Hebrew class last night. It just felt wrong. It felt inappropriate. And we had a good cry over what was going on. And then she got on, and her teacher was like, the Israeli way is to keep to the routine and go on. We have a responsibility to not dwell on all of that stuff all the time and keep things together and keep our society moving forward. So that really struck her in a very positive way. So I just want to
it's a human spirit. Governments are going to govern bad or good, and on whatever side of the aisle, wherever you are. At the end of the day, we really love each other. Like when you're just sitting, hanging out, having a cup of coffee, you can go to any place in the world. That's why people love to travel. You can go anywhere, and that person wants their grandmother to cook breakfast for you. That person wants to bring you into their home. If you're just talking one-on-one, if you have a third-party mediator, whether it be a government or whether it be somebody else, or be the internet, the second people are together, when was the last time you met a stranger and immediately you hated each other? That's never happened to me. I've never met somebody traveling or whatever that's different than me, and all of a sudden I don't like that person. When I remember the greatest moment of kind of really enlightening me was in Vietnam, because of the history, I didn't know how they were going to take us being there. And, I haven't been there. And anyway, it was like the most delightful place in the world. They couldn't do enough for us. And so when people are just one-on-one, I always call internet tough guys or text tough guys. Like if I have something to say, I'm going to look you up and go find you and tell you how I feel. It's when you're looking people in the eye, it's different than what's going on in the world today, where I just got a text message or something that my daughter grabbed from Instagram that's completely baloney, completely crap, and it's just politically charged, and she's like worried sick over it. And like when you're face to face with people, it's just a different world. And the technology in this world is amazing, but it's also corrupting. It's corrupting as well.
There's one other story that just really touched me recently. We had a family that came to one of our DC hotels. They've been coming for about 12 years every year. And through the pandemic, they were unable to come. So they sent an envelope to the hotel in the name of the server that had been taking care of them every year they had come, $500 cash in the envelope. Well, now, about 3 months ago, they reached out to the server, invited the server to fly all the way from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington, to stay a week with their family.
What?
And so the server sent me a picture from Seattle, Washington. The server's from Ethiopia, white American family in Seattle, Washington, and they're all there hugging each other.
That's amazing.
And that's just what our business is all about, and that's why I love it.
Absolutely. And I encourage everybody to go out there, travel somewhere new, share some food, some drink, and get to know each other, and maybe have a good.
And I think that, I know we're going to pivot, but one of the reasons Anthony Bourdain's show was fantastic was he did exactly that. Whether you liked him, you didn't like him, I didn't watch a show because it was so good. I didn't want to try to become him. I really didn't because
I hear you on that.
It was so beautiful, and he was so good at it. I was like, if I start watching it, I'm going to try to become him. And his show was so pure of heart. Of like, he never hid his weaknesses. He never hid that he was just this guy trying to get along. But he said, there's nothing greater than sitting at somebody's kitchen and eating their food. And if you ever turn down somebody's food, you shouldn't be allowed in that country again. And I ate fermented shark in Iceland, and I ate the delicacy in Vietnam, which is an egg that's basically
not balut.
Because of him. I literally ate it because I said he did it, and I'm not turning it down. So it's the greatest privilege of our life is to understand somebody else's culture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I enjoyed that show. He basically took all those that watched it along with him on his trips throughout the world, sitting at folks' kitchen table, and it was just an amazing show.
Yeah, it's the only show that I've seen a host can be completely drunk and get away with it.
Hey, that's a good idea. Watch Friday Night Audit, Fridays at 5, and you'll see me.
No, you gave up. You stopped getting drunk the first season. You liar.
I know, Thomas. We used to drink all this tequila, and by the time the hour was over, I was so sloppy I couldn't function for the rest of the evening, and I didn't want to go to bed.
So you're inauthentic, Glenn.
I'm completely inauthentic, but something that's not authentic is your great portfolio of hotels over at Donohoe Hospitality. You got a lot of properties in the DC area. I know before we went on air, you said that market is going pretty well. How are you feeling about your position right now in the hotel business?
So I like the position of our DC hotels. Clearly, our industry here in DC was heavily dependent upon the federal government. And when the pandemic happened, we were able to begin to do business differently and welcome in folks, from different segments that had not been coming to DC as frequent. And so the good news is we're back on the other side. Rates are trending like other parts of the country favorably. Occupancies are back on the other side of where we were prior to the pandemic. The city is bustling with folks. And overall, just really excited about the DC market. We have a hotel right now under construction right outside of DC. It's a dual branded AC Residence Inn, 267 rooms, 12,000 square feet of flexible event space, and more pool, corner suites with spectacular views. I mean, we're doubling down on this market. We're really excited about it.
You say it's just outside DC. What neighborhood?
It's in Reston, Virginia, right at Reston Town Center.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, AC, I'm working with a company that has a couple of ACs and kind of was in the forefront of the AC hotels, and they're my favorite new brand. And the Residence Inn, what they're doing with the new product is fantastic. But AC is really, it's kind of my flavor. It's kind of what I like in a hotel. Yeah, and it's upscale, but it's comfortable.
Speaking of AC hotels, I saw one when I was in Asheville, North Carolina, speaking at the Rains Co. annual event. Thank you guys for that. And it was really beautiful piece of architecture. Kind of reminds me of the Draftsman over here, which I also believe is in a AC. Is that correct?
That's an autograph.
Autograph. Sorry,
Yeah,
close.
yeah, yeah. And a hotel that we're incredibly proud of, a few
Yeah.
steps away from UVA's campus. And it's done really, really well, even through the pandemic. It was one of the first hotels in our portfolio to get on the other side of where we were prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. So, Anthony, I know you were curious about the building itself, right?
Yeah, I love the materials. Why so many different materials, but they all work well together? Sometimes people put a lot of materials on the building and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm going to put on a single shot and step out of the way for a sec.
Well, what we were hoping to achieve with this building, many of the hotels prior to us bringing this online had been in the market for quite some time. This is a prominent corner right in downtown Charlottesville, and we wanted it to be an impressive, exterior building, something that was future facing. And so, that was kind of the direction that we gave to the architects, and they've exceeded our expectations. When you're riding down the street in downtown Charlottesville, you see this impressive structure. And we've been fortunate, again, to welcome a lot of guests in that market. And now some of the hotels that have come behind us have been more future facing with their.
And do you have in that area, do you have restrictions on colors and kind of different materials you can use?
We do have some restrictions, but the folks in Charlottesville City Center, they were great to work with, and they showed a degree of flexibility once we told them what we were trying to achieve with the design.
Yeah. So let me ask you a little bit about this. It's located in a university town, right? A lot of companies in the last 5 to 7 years have really taken on the strategy of being located near universities or medical centers, or sometimes they're both in the same exact place. How are you feeling about that particular strategy? Is that something you're pursuing, or is this more of like a one-off kind of a situation?
So we're definitely pursuing it where it makes sense. We like those markets for all the reasons that you just described in terms of the demand generators associated with them. But in addition to that, in Charlottesville, it's just a great place to experience some of the best wineries in the country. Also to get out and enjoy the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's just a great place to go that folks kind of returned to during the pandemic when they were looking to be outside. They really, folks from the DC Richmond area kind of convened on Charlottesville, and that market really did well for us.
So explain to people that may not know how your company works. Is your company owned and operated? Are you a management company? Do you have a fund? Exactly how does, because again, to me, this is the stuff that I thrive on because it's really, 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 especially in this market, complicated to fund projects and to make them cost effective. So how does your company work?
So I should say that next year we'll be celebrating our 140th year anniversary.
What?
You guys have no commitment.
Yeah.
So we believe at a time
that Disney, yeah,
at a time of instability, our 140 years show that we've lived through all the down cycles of the last 140 years and come through them. But we do have a group of folks that we've done deals with over time, and we continue to do deals with them. As it relates to our Charlottesville hotel, we actually had a partnership with another multi-generational real estate company here in the DC area, and the car companies. And this was a deal where we came together to get it done. But basically, we have a group of investors. We've invited new folks into that equation in recent years. And we look to do deals that make sense, that fit our investment criteria. And so that's been our approach. But the Reston Hotel that I referenced earlier, for the first time, we actually did some crowdsourcing as a part of the structure associated with that. And, it was our first time doing it, and we had a great experience with it and plan to use the vehicle again.
Could you explain how that worked so our listeners can understand more?
Yeah, so we use a crowdsourcing platform where we basically we put together a package. We make a presentation to a group of invited investors. We talk about the project. We respond to their questions, and then they have a chance to invest in the hotel. And the platform itself manages the investor portal, if you will. And we deal with the platform. The platform deals with their investors. But it's basically a way for folks to be able to invest in deals just through crowdsourcing. And
that's pretty cool. What kind of investment do you need in order to participate in that?
So typically, it's north of about $50,000.
That's kind of what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think on this project, the average investment may have been, a little bit higher than that, but that's typically the threshold.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And do you guys take on any management contracts that you're not invested in?
We do. So we do third-party work with a third-party company. As a matter of fact, of the hotels that are in our development pipeline, the majority are third-party deals today. And so we've been growing our portfolio of third-party work for the last 7 years. And we see that as a source for growth well into the future.
So many companies come into the third-party market. I just had somebody that's in it that has a couple of contracts, and like you can't really make, like if you're not an established, like your company's established 140 years, but if you're not established and really know the industry and you have cash flow and you have ability to deal with, cash calls sometimes, you can't build a boutique management company on 3 or 4 hotels. In order to really break even, you need like 20.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when you get to 20, you need them vice president of this and the vice president of that. So third-party management companies are really hard. And that's why you saw so many third-party management companies come together. And what I'm seeing more and more is owners and investors, after they have a portfolio of X amount of hotels, then they'll gently start taking in, management companies, because they already have the infrastructure that supports that. And that bottom line is a lot easier to get to than somebody trying to build it from scratch. People have asked me 100 times, Anthony, why don't you build a management company where you're taking on people's companies and building management? I have 100 hotels under management, which I could have done 10 years ago. I'd be out of business today because it wasn't sustainable. I didn't have the cash flow or the big pockets that, a company like yours could sustain that.
Yeah, I think all of that is correct. I think we're uniquely positioned in that we have a construction company that's built more hotels in the DC region than anybody else, built over 70 hotels. And so we have expertise across 6 different divisions that most third-party management companies don't have. And we've been able to basically bring all those resources to bear to basically offer services that, typically would be beyond, another management company's ability to really provide expertise.
Yeah. One of the things that I find interesting is what you were just saying, Anthony, how people are like all teaming up. So how are you resisting the urge to consolidate when so many other companies in our field are consolidating in order to try to become bigger to, fend back other competition?
Well, what I would say is we've actually looked at, the possibility of acquiring some companies.
Nice.
But we're a multi-generational family company. And and so this is a business that will be around well into the future. So we would never sell any of our divisions, but we have been looking at the possibility of acquiring others. And so there's definitely some benefit to buying some companies and taking advantage of the efficiency associated with that.
And on the other side of the, Anthony, you got a question on that? If not,
I was just going to say, it's so critically important when you're a legacy company that, like, when you look at Remington and what they did with Chris Green's company,
Chesapeake,
like that relationship was built on the same kind of fundamental planning and vision. And that wouldn't have worked if Chris and Remington weren't aligned on how they treat employees and how they treat service and how they treat their customers. So a lot of these people look at the dollar signs and then they crash and burn. And there's one major brand, one major management company that bought another major management company I won't talk about. And I've seen in their hotels, it's getting worse, not better. So as opposed to Remington, I see not everything getting better. And so it's really, you got to make sure it's a strategic alignment based on relationships.
And I agree. I think that being a legacy company, we're looking for folks to share our values, to share the way we do business, and it has to be a strategic alignment. Every deal is not the right deal. And I think when we've been around 140 years, sometimes we pass on deals if we don't think it's the right deal. So strategic alignment is critical as you look at opportunities in terms of acquisition.
When I was at Tishman as the asset manager, they moved at glacier speed but when they move, oh my God, they take on projects that are insane. And they're not the biggest, but they have some of the trophy properties around the country, and they're very, 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 very strategic on their properties. And, too many companies just want to get to the pot of gold, and they wind up screwing themselves.
Yeah, we actually acquired a residential management company in January, and it was a family company similar to us. It'd been around for a few generations. And it took a few years of kind of really spending time together to make sure it was going to be right for us and right for them. And so strategic alignment is critical.
Right. That's pretty cool. That's how you got involved in the Upton place on Wisconsin. I'm going to.
That's absolutely we got involved. We acquired this management company because we want to basically be able to manage our own residential assets. Mm-hmm. And today, now, thanks to this acquisition, we have 10,000 units under management.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Well, now I wanted to take what Anthony was saying and kind of flip it. As a third-party management company, obviously it's right there, third party. You're managing for other owners. What types of investors are you working with, and are you seeing a change over the last 5 or so years in that investment community? Because I'm seeing a lot of investors who have had a lot of luck, for example, in strip malls and gas stations, et cetera, moving into this asset class.
So we're definitely seeing a new generation of folks come into the investment space. Mm-hmm. They're younger. I would say many of the folks that we've worked with over decades, mm-hmm. there's a level of trust that's been built up, and granted, even just the cadence of how we communicate with them was different. Now folks are having had some success in another field, and they're bringing those resources to our business. They're incredibly curious. They want us to communicate more frequently with them, so we're meeting with them on a more regular basis. Mm-hmm. And I would say clearly they're looking for quick returns, right? And whereas I think in past generations we've had folks that really just wanted to see some success over time.
Right.
Folks are really willing to invest, but they want to see an immediate return. And obviously we welcome those folks because that's in alignment with what we're looking for at Donohoe.
What is it like working with brands pre-pandemic and now post-pandemic? What has that been like?
So I think pre-pandemic, there was a lot of long tenured folks that we'd worked with for a long period of time. And there were some really tight relationships. I'd say post-pandemic, with many of the brands, you saw a lot of folks either retire or transition during the pandemic. So it's a new group of folks on the brand side, great people, really aggressive in trying to get deals done, mm-hmm. Hyper aggressive. So I think we've had great experiences with the brands prior to the pandemic, and we're forming, new relationships with new people post the pandemic.
But those people tend to be younger. How are they reacting or acting in business relationships? What are you sensing? Are they just as, being aggressive is great. We're all aggressive if you're going to be successful. But do they understand there's a difference between being aggressive for the deal and be aggressive for the deals? Meaning that relationship is not important today. It's important for a very long time. What are you seeing in the different, I guess, for lack of a better word, personalities?
I think it's mixed. I think you got some folks that they're looking for the deals and they're looking to establish a long-standing relationship and get as much from you as possible. And then you got some folks that are chasing, the goals that they have in front of them today. So it's definitely a mix. Clearly, as a company that's been around 140 years, we prefer someone who's looking to do multiple deals with us.
So let me interrupt there. How do you deal with that person that is just chasing that one deal?
We educate them. We educate.
I was going to say, do you kind of discount them or do you educate them?
We educate them because, sometimes they don't have the experience. And I think, they're receptive, and they oftentimes kind of alter their approach, at least dealing with us as a result of that education. So we still work with them. And in many a case, they welcome just the feedback and they make the adjustments.
And that's beautiful. And I'm glad you said that. And that's why I like you so much. It's like you just have this great positive energy. And I wish I would have known this quote when I was growing up in this industry. Slow is fast.
Yeah.
And, when you're 140 years old as a company, slow is fast. And I wish I would have learned that. I learned it now, the last 10 years. But when you get someone like that's aggressive, because if you got me out of school, you probably would have to, tie me to a chair and slap me in the head and say, slow is fast. And because I didn't understand that. I didn't understand 10 years from now. I understood I've got to make my goals today. So that's beautiful that you are willing to educate and you don't take it personally.
Yeah, not at all. I think that all of us have the benefit of someone kind of providing some education for us along the way. And with that, we have the responsibility of doing that for the next generation. They grew up at a different time. They were exposed to different things. Technology has had an impact on them, and it's incumbent upon us to impart some wisdom and some experience. And again, in most cases, they're receptive to it.
How do you handle that? And I'm totally generalizing here, but I find younger people seek instant gratification quicker than others, to go back to what he was saying. How do you actually get them to understand that things don't necessarily work on the time frame that a TikTok videos work on?
Well, I'm fortunate to have 3 kids, and from that experience, clearly I'm trying to teach that to them.
Yeah, right.
and so I understand this generation a bit. Clearly, they want to be successful,
right?
And it's up to us to show them what that looks like for us,
right?
And to the extent that they're willing to listen and understand what our priorities are, then we can work with those folks. And again, more often than not, we found folks that have been flexible and receptive to our approach.
And it comes down to the things that you can't really learn in school, and it doesn't take any technical ability. Being on time, being nice to people, and we've all heard those lines, but it's true. It's more true today than ever. You give me a person that has a moral compass, that has energy, and that has respect for others, and a drive to be successful, and they will lay out most people today. They will literally be so far in front of them. They'll be like, they won't believe how fast they grew and how easy it was.
So just one thing that I've always done is I like to conduct meetings early. And so, some of the younger folks initially, kind of wanted to have meetings in the afternoon.
Right.
But I get in at 5:30, 5:45, and I like to have them 7:30, 8 o'clock. And again, to their credit, they've shown ability to be flexible and be available when we need them to be available.
What's your philosophy behind those early meetings?
Well, one, when I was growing up, my father got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Ooh. And he worked construction on a construction site. And, he would get up and he would make a lot of noise, and my mother would tell him to quiet down. And he would say, "I'm up and I pay the mortgage. And if I'm up, the kids need to be up." So needless to say, I have it, in my genes. Mm-hmm. And really the purpose of getting up early is really getting to it, analyzing the business, understanding what our opportunities and challenges are, and really beginning to solve some of those problems before most other people get to work.
Yeah, because 8:30, your schedule gets taken over by everything else. No, I was just having a conversation with a headhunter that I used to do business with, and we're just having a quick phone call. And he goes, "Do you remember when you were renovating the Algonquin and you were repositioning a lot of jobs, and you needed 20 people, and that you asked us to be in the diner next door at 5 a.m. in the morning for a meeting?" I go, "I don't remember that." He goes, "Well, you remember me calling you and yelling and being upset and saying that's ridiculous, and you saying that, well, if you don't want my business, then you don't want my business." I go, "Oh, yeah, I do remember that conversation." And then I remembered, and he showed up with his team at 5 a.m. in the morning to have that meeting because I was busy.
Right.
And I wasn't being rude, but if I work from 5 to 6 a.m., I can give you 100% of my attention. It's like on this show, when we do our podcast or really anything I do, when I'm working with you, That's all I'm doing. So I can't work with you and talk about this big problem I have at 10 o'clock in the morning because I'll be interrupted 100 times and my mind will be racing. So I love that fact. And what time do you literally usually leave the office?
Roughly about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Right. And that's so you can have a balanced life. So you get up early and put that on you, but you're not taken away from your family.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I found as I've gotten older, I don't volunteer to wake up. I just do. But I've discovered, and this is good for younger people to know, I'm so insanely productive from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. when it's quiet. And I love hitting all those emails. And before everyone gets in the office, it's their problem now. It's balls in their court, and I can move on to something else. So I highly recommend people getting a really early start if they can. You'll feel much more satisfied in your career.
Yeah, and then everything else. And that's another thing. It's, you seem to have the reason you're successful and the reason you have this great attitude, whatever you do to fit in your family, to fit in your job, to fit in your health, to fit in your mindset, your meditation, whatever you do to keep yourself square, people have got to learn that. There is no such thing as work-life balance. Sometimes you work more, sometimes you play more, but whatever that is on a daily basis, you got to measure that for that day.
Yeah.
If I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to be away for 3 days. I've got to focus my thoughts on those 3 days and get myself prepared for those 3 days and say that my family knows I'm going to be away for 3 days and not try to balance and feel guilty about me being traveling for 3 days. So it's really a mindset. What do you have to say about, because I think that's really, really critical in today's world. What do you think about, like, how do you go about that mindset? How do you kind of keep your balance?
Well, honestly, clearly my schedule is fixed, and with few exceptions, so that helps. But also, the way I keep that mindset is basically focusing on the things that are most important. And for me, I try to schedule meetings early in the morning, as I've said. I try to reserve time for mentoring team members in our office. And then I try to also designate time throughout the course of the day with organizations that are preparing the next generation of hospitality professionals.
Cool.
For me, it's about running the best hotels. It's about developing our talent internally, and it's also about getting the next generation exposure in our business. And to me, that helps me to get to a point of balance. And then it's about family when I leave the office. But all of those things are important, and to the extent that I can do them all equally, or best I can, I'm balanced and I'm ready for the next day as a result of that.
Beautiful. All right. Last set of questions for you there, Thomas. How are you looking at 2024's outlook, and what are you doing strategically to maximize opportunity?
So 2024, I'm incredibly optimistic. We got hotels in DC, Baltimore, Charlottesville, Las Vegas. Incredibly optimistic about all the markets of which we're doing business. All of the forecasts, show continued growth into 2024. I think that the challenge confronting our organization and the entire industry is recruitment and retention, and also staff development. So one of the things I'm excited about is a new platform we're putting in place. It's a platform called Build Within, and it's a technology platform where employees that want to grow with us, they can take online courses, and once they complete them, it's going to kind of ping their supervisor to let them know that they're learning and coming along. And then we're incentivizing our leaders to promote them into the next position. And, back when I was coming through, you really had to have those conversations to know where folks wanted to be. But we're going to integrate some technology such that it can help us to know who has an interest, and as they're learning, we can, put them in a position to do the next job.
That's cool. Anthony?
Yeah, I'm working with a company right now where we're putting together an executive leadership program for those general managers, assistant general managers, revenue managers that are looking to get to the next step. And we're putting together, it's not only some videos and some online courses, but it's us showing up and actually, going through what the things are that they need to be prepared for going forward. Because one of the things that got you there won't get you there, right? And so I think the in-person part of it is really, really critical. And I'm dedicating some of my time and my experience to really showing up and showing kind of what are the soft skills you need to, because you can't get there with hard skills. I'm sorry, you just can't. You can't be an IT guy and become chairman. You can't be an IT guy and become a president unless you're an IT guy with soft skills. And, so my favorite saying is what got you there won't get you there. And, I didn't come this far to go that far, just come just this far. And so I think what you're doing is critically important. And we can talk more offline because there's something else we're doing that I want to talk to you about. And it's everything right now. It's Glenn's tired of hearing me talk about this.
No,
I can get so frustrated.
Yeah.
I give an example. I was consulting a kid, called me yesterday. And when I say kid, he's in his 30s. And he asked, I want to do this training program. And this is the training program. And I won't tell you the brand he was working with. And it's whatever. So, and he goes, but I'm not having a lot of success. And I told him what the biggest problem right now with training is. It's the first thing cut out of a budget. It's the first thing people don't think is important. It's with all the challenges going on today. And I gave him some steps of how to get in, a roundabout way of kind of how to sell his program without hitting. So if you call somebody up, cold call somebody, or even have a cup of coffee with somebody, say, hey, I have a training program. Click, 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 because no one wants a training program right now because of budgets. Everybody cut their training out. So you have to say it in a different way. You have to go about it in a different way. And it's a shame because training should be the number one thing you finance.
No question. No question. I think that our ability to really continue to let other folks know about the great opportunities that exist in our industry. It's the challenge confronting our business, overall. And so I think clearly we got to develop our people better. And we also got to make certain that, the room attendants, the servers who might have sent their kids to college only to tell them not to come back and work in the business. Mm-hmm. We got to get those folks back in the business. And the way we do that is make sure that they can see the opportunities at the highest levels of our organizations.
Yeah, you can't be stingy with your time when it comes to people coming up. And when people say to me, like yesterday, I was late for the call because actually our podcast went over and I was 15 minutes late and the kid still stayed on the Zoom. He still stayed 15 minutes later. He was still on that Zoom. And I said, I apologize. I don't like being late. And he goes, you owe me nothing. And that you giving me this time is everything to me.
Wow.
And I was like, no. Yeah. I was like, it was a great way of starting that because now I gave him all the time in the world. I'll give him more time because he had the right attitude.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't believe that. I don't think, he owes me anything, but that he did that and he said that really meant a lot to me. And then I just unloaded everything that was in my brain to him. And, but he stayed on the call. A lot of people would say, oh, this guy didn't, he didn't back up his promise. He's not showing up and he's going to be pissed off and hang up the phone. He waited probably 1 minute more. He probably would have been gone, but he waited the 15 minutes and he gave me the opportunity to give him some advice. Anyway.
And Anthony, I'm passionate about that. I'm on the board of NAF, where we have 18,000 kids throughout the country, DC, New York, Miami, LA, learning, about our industry through these academies of hospitality and tourism. And, I absolutely enjoy spending time with young people and really making certain that they understand, the opportunities to transition into roles as, general managers, hotel owners, executives. It's something that is deeply personal to me, and so I like to spend time with as many young people as I can.
If they want a roadmap to get your head kicked in during the hotel business, tell them to buy my book, because I'm not trying to sell my book, but it's really a dumbed down version of successful.
I'll sell it for you.
Meaning a lot of people read the book and they say, wow, this is about you getting your ass kicked for 20 years or 30 years. It's not all your successes. It's like, exactly. People have got to see that when you get kicked in the head, you just go, oh, okay, and forget about it. I got fired twice in my career and I didn't realize it until I wrote the book because I was so focused I mean, that's funny, but it's true.
Oh yeah, I get you.
I was so focused on my next project and being successful that being kicked in the head didn't really damage me for more than a few minutes. And everybody gets wounded so quickly today.
And it's all about the journey, right? Getting kicked in the head is a part of the process,
Yep.
right? And so we talk a lot about the journey. And Anthony, at some point, we gotta get you in front of some of the young people. I think you'd be great, and maybe we can find a way to get the book in the hands of the young people and get you to spend some time with a large number of them.
It'll be my privilege, and I've offered that to you before, and the offer still continues, and it's all I care about. It's all I care about is getting kids involved in this business.
Yep. Thomas, please continue. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that's why I just enjoy spending time with you guys. I think you guys really appreciate just the real benefits of our business, and you understand the responsibility we have and bring young people and folks that may have not been introduced to the fullness of opportunities into it. So,
and also one of the things, I'm sorry, Glenn, but one of the things that I'm seeing in mentoring kids and mentoring young men and women is the gentleness of the mentor. Meaning when I put them in a place or a hotel or I kind of focus them in on this hotel, I'm focusing them with people I know will give them a soft landing when they screw up. And the thing I didn't have, I worked out of fear. And what I see, these two kids specifically I'm talking about, very different kids, each place has worked beautifully for their personalities. If I would have kind of directed them to different hotels, they may have not made this business. And, I remember when my daughter worked at the Mark Hotel. If my daughter went to work at a regular hotel that did not have, like my friend Manuel ran a hotel, like if they didn't have a Manuel or that kind of Mark kind of pedigree, my daughter wouldn't have made it in a regular standard hotel in New York City. So it's not only critical to mentor kids, it's understanding what their personality fits in, what department it fits in, what brand it fits in, and what mentor fits for that personality.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. So when I meet a young person and I'm trying to find somebody in our organization to mentor them, there's a great deal of intentionality in identifying the right person for the right young person. And you can't put any leader with any young person. It's just not going to work. And so I try to find the right person that's going to make the lasting impact on the young person.
That's pretty interesting. All right. So we started off pretty heavy. I want to end on more of a lighter note, Thomas, right? So you've got a Hampton Inn and Suites and a Home 2 Suites by Hilton, dual branded property right by the Las Vegas Convention Center. So my question to you is, what is going to be or was the most profitable event for you in 23-24? Is it Taylor Swift in March of this year?
Yes.
Is it the upcoming F1? Is it Super Bowl 2024, or is it going to be CES 2024?
F1.
So I'm going to say CES for us because of our reputation. But Vegas is going to have a phenomenal next 4 or 5 months. And, I'm looking to try to get out there for the Super Bowl. But when, I visited the hotel a few months ago, the energy in Vegas is just off the charts. And to have all these mega events coming to town, I mean, there's just no place in the world like Las Vegas.
Yeah, don't talk to me about Las Vegas. I haven't been there in 3 weeks, and I'm going through serious withdrawal.
Yeah, we've got about 5 or 6 weeks.
If I don't go into the Sphere soon and see what's going on, and it was all like I was excited about it, seeing it being built, every time I went there. And then seeing the things online, and it's just the most insane thing. But this is what sold it to me. Whether you like Dana White or don't like Dana White, the UFC president, what he said about that project really kind of sealed it for me, because he said it's the greatest thing he's seen in Vegas because of the service, the food, the hospitality, and the venue. And he has very high standards. And he said he's going to put on the greatest fight show in the history of mankind at the Sphere. So when you have something, and I'm not a big fan of Dolan and Madison Square Garden ownership, but when you have something so incredible come to Vegas and make people from Vegas go, holy crap, you know you did something.
So my number 2 in my office is out there as we speak, and I got off the phone with her about 45 minutes ago, and this was the thing that she talked about, and she's actually going to it today. So
nice. Is she going to go see the Darren Aronofsky film? Is that what she's?
That's exactly where she's gone. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
What's that? Is that like what's that all about?
Well, the you know, the Darren Aronofsky, the film auteur, he made a special movie that's like 50 minutes long for that giant dome. You know, the screen's the size of 3 football fields. It's all in 12K. So they created some sort of otherworldly film. So
wow, it's I can't wait. And like I said, what other city can shut down Main Street and you know, and put on a show and still continue? Vegas is the most interesting place in the world.
So I'm thinking we got to meet in Vegas.
Yeah, man, I love that.
Just warn you, I'll go to dinner with you, but you better come to a poker table with me.
Well, I'll come and watch you. Once I lose $20, I'm done.
That's
well, I only play in $200 tournaments, so when I lose $200 tournament, I'm done. So
yeah. Cool. Thomas, do us a favor, hang out backstage for a minute. Let us wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
I always enjoy being with you guys, and you know, I look forward to the next time.
Yeah,
hang loose, my friend.
Thank you. All right, just a quick reminder that I'm going to be the master of ceremonies at a golf tournament for charity on November 8th. It's for Darkness to Hope, helping bring attention to stopping and help those that are survivors of human trafficking. That's November 8th. Drop me a note, Glenn at novacancynews.com. Glenn's got 2 N's. I'll give you the scoop on that event. Any final thoughts?
Where is it, Glenn?
It's at the Reunion Resort in Orlando, Florida, November 8th, starting at 7 a.m.
Maybe your partner, your podcast partner.
I hope you come down there.
I didn't get an invite. I'm not going.
I've invited you multiple times.
I need it in writing, formal, with gold ribbon.
All right, I'll work on that. I don't know about gold ribbon. Would you be satisfied for silver?
For those people that didn't see Glenn on video right now, Glenn took a second of pause and said bad words under his breath towards me.
One started with an M, one started with an F. All right, everybody, thank you so much for all of the love and support you've given us over 802 episodes. Be sure to follow us, download the podcast wherever you get your podcast. If you're listening to us right now, why not watch us? Find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and of course at novacancynews.com. He's Anthony. I'm Glenn. And remember, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all next week. Bye, everybody.